Welcome back to Open Window Politics. Today we're going to be doing a prediction. In this case, it is going to be between the current governor of Pennsylvania, Governor Shapiro, versus the current vice president on the Republican side, J.D. Vance. So right off the bat, we've got, this is based on the 2024 map margins, which is why it's looking already pretty good for Democrats. Some of the blue states are a little less safe than usual, but in the end, they're still electoral college votes for their respective party. So we've got to classify the lean Republican states. I do think that the rest of these will probably be in the tilt margin. Governor Shapiro has been floated as a potential. He almost was the VP or the running mate for Harris, but she ended up going with Governor Walz instead. But Shapiro is has been in power relatively recently. He did run against a pretty extreme Republican, so that helped his electoral chances. He did quite well in Pennsylvania, which is definitely a state that Democrats are worried about losing in future elections. So he definitely carries with him some Midwest, Rust Belt appeal. And we'll start to label each of these states. So I'm going to add a tilt characterization. So I do think in the state of Nevada that Shapiro would be able to win Nevada. Shapiro he's a bit more of a moderate than others, but he is probably going to be able to win the state of Nevada. And then I don't think it's going to be the same case in Arizona. I think Arizona would probably end up going to Vance, just if the election were to be held today. Still a lot of time before the 2028 presidential election. So that is how I would classify those two states. And then we're going to get to two other tilt blue states. I do think that Minnesota and New Hampshire would most likely, unless something crazy happens, be in the Democratic column. So that is going to be 14 more electoral college votes for Governor Shapiro on the Democratic side. And with that brings us to 231 to 230, with Democrats having a one-vote electoral college lead. And I do think that the district in Omaha, in Nebraska, that would end up going to Shapiro. Harris was able to win it, and that was a pretty bad showing overall for the Democrats, and I think Shapiro would probably be a better, more electable option, and would also be able to carry that congressional district in Nebraska. And then we have the three Rust Belt states and the two southeastern Sun Belt states. I'll do the Sun Belt states first. I do think that Georgia, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I could really see this state going either way. I'm going to go with a tilt blue rating for now. The state has got a good chance. It did go to Biden by the narrowest margin of any state in 2020. So they've also got two Democratic senators, so it's definitely possible for Democrats to do well here. It'll be interesting to see what happens, but I would probably predict that as such. I do think we're going to have not quite the same story in North Carolina. North Carolina is most likely going to be in the Republican column, if I recall it today. Then that leaves us with the three Rust Belt states that really will determine the presidency. It's 248 for the Democrat, Josh Shapiro, to 246 for the Republican, J.D. Vance. Then I do think that J.D. Vance would probably end up losing the state of Pennsylvania, seeing as that is Shapiro's home state, a bit of a home state advantage. Shapiro has some Rust Belt appeal for sure. J.D. Vance also somewhat has some, being from the region. And I do think that in this case, the three Rust Belt states would vote together, and that would be 292 electoral college votes for Josh Shapiro to 246 for J.D. Vance. I do think that it would probably be a relatively close competitive election. All the tilt states I could really see going either way. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm also not saying that these two people will be the nominee. It'll just a hypothetical fun matchup prediction. But yeah, feel free to let me know if you have any questions. Don't forget to like and subscribe.